Justin requested me on Patreon last month to review the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, The Curse of the Black Pearl. So continuing that theme this month, he wanted me to review the next chapter, The Adventures of Captain Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and Elizabeth Swann, Dead Man's Chest. When I first watched this sequel, I remember finding it to be a bit of a step down from the first one. However, I'd not seen it in a very long time, so I was hoping to better appreciate the movie this time around. Unfortunately, I still find the film to be a disappointment, although not without its occasional triumphs. One of the things that most stands out about Dead Man's Chest is how incredibly convoluted the story is. At its core, it's about the characters trying to get a hold of this chest containing the heart of the famous pirate Davy Jones. Sounds simple, right? However, the road to get to this involves so much setup and taking the characters all over the place. The film tries really hard to follow the various characters on their little side quests. Will Turner especially goes through a lot during this movie, as he becomes separated from Elizabeth, then goes on a long journey, where he eventually reteams with Jack, then is separated from him, and then eventually rejoins Elizabeth and Jack. Jack and Elizabeth also have their own things going on that we're supposed to follow. I understand the filmmakers want to make this big grand adventure, enough that the script was then split into 2 films, but what happened to Pirates of the Caribbean being a simple swashbuckler? Even though Davy Jones is meant to be the main villain in Dead Man's Chest, it actually takes an hour for him to be introduced, because there's so much that apparently needs to be laid down before he shows up. And when you add all the scenes up, we don't even spend that much time with him. Speaking of Davy Jones, he is one of the high points of the sequel, largely thanks to the visual effects. In 2006, filmmakers and effects artists were still experimenting with motion capture and seeing what they could do with it, so Jones represented an incredible achievement in that area. He's so expressive, with the tentacles having so much character. However, what impresses me the most are the eyes. I actually thought those were Bill Nighy's eyes in the middle of the squid face, but nope, those were also entirely done on the computer. The visual effects holding up so many years later is not too surprising when you look at Gore Verbinski's filmography. He's one of those directors who has a real understanding of how to use special effects to enhance the characters and the world around them. He has such a keen visual eye, going back to those Budweiser Frogs commercials he directed in the 90s. Even his first movie, Mouse Hunt, had him successfully and seamlessly jump between a real mouse, a CG mouse, and an animatronic mouse, and I think it deserves more credit as a landmark in visual effects. Aside from Davy Jones, there are creative and imaginative elements scattered throughout Dead Man's Chest. It's just a shame I don't find the story nearly as engaging, or even some of the set pieces. There's a sequence where we're on a cannibal island for what feels like an eternity. However, one moment that does work and comes close to reaching the fun of Curse of the Black Pearl is near the end, when multiple characters are trying to get a hold of the Dead Man's Chest. The sword duels, the way the various characters fight each other, and even a bit with a wheel are all cleverly put together by Verbinski, his stunt team, and the visual effects crew. This is when the movie finally gets some energy put into it, after the sluggish first 2 hours. Regarding Johnny Depp's performance as Jack Sparrow, I personally think the character loses a bit of his spark here. Obviously, it will not have the freshness and surprise from the first time around. But as I pointed out in my review of the first movie, Depp was able to find a balance between the character's goofy and serious sides there, which played a large role in making him so intriguing. While he has a few serious moments, Verbinski and Depp lean a lot more into the sillier aspects. I actually thought the funniest lines belonged to Pintel and Righetti. They have some great interplay here, and there's some humor found in how they keep switching sides on a dime depending on the situation. They serve as solid comic relief, and are able to grow as characters after serving on Barbosa's crew in the first film. In the end, while there is some occasional entertainment to be found here and there, I do think Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest becomes more complicated than it needs to be, and what should be a breezy theme park ride winds up a long 2.5 hours. But maybe you disagree with me. If you've seen the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Justin.